California, the land of golden beaches, Hollywood dreams, and billion-dollar mansions, is also a ticking time bomb of nature's fury. Every year, wildfires torch more than 1.5 million acres, earthquakes threaten $200 billion in damages, and rising seas put $100 billion in coastal property at risk. From firestorms swallowing hillside homes worth $10 million to floods that could drown entire cities, the Golden State's beauty hides staggering danger. Today, we reveal the top 10 California cities that are a minefield of natural disasters, where living in paradise could cost you everything. Number 10. Malibu. Malibu, the glamorous beach city where celebrities sip cocktails overlooking the Pacific, is also one of the most disaster-prone towns in California. Its location along the Santa Monica Mountains and rugged Pacific coastline makes it a ticking time bomb. Malibu's biggest nightmare is wildfire risk. In 2018, the Woolsey Fire tore through the region, destroying more than 1,600 structures and causing $6 billion in damages, leaving many multi-million-dollar oceanfront homes in ashes. The combination of Santa Ana winds, bone-dry vegetation, and steep canyons makes the city a natural furnace waiting for a spark. But fires aren't the only threat. Malibu also sits in a zone vulnerable to mudslides and flooding. After major wildfires burn the hillsides bare, heavy winter rains often trigger devastating mudflows that swallow homes, block Pacific Coast Highway, and cut the city off from the outside world. In January 2019, just months after the Woolsey Fire, mudslides trapped entire neighborhoods. Adding to the danger, Malibu is perched near the Santa Monica Fault and within shaking distance of the infamous San Andreas Fault, meaning a powerful earthquake could damage cliffside mansions and trigger landslides into the ocean. Insurance is becoming nearly impossible to secure, with premiums for fire coverage skyrocketing above $6,000 per year for some homeowners, and many carriers simply dropping policies altogether. What makes Malibu unique is the paradox of paradise in peril. While its ocean views can fetch $10 million mansions, the same scenery comes with the constant risk of being wiped out overnight. For residents, every sunrise over the Pacific is beautiful, but also a reminder that Malibu's luxury lifestyle sits on the edge of nature's wrath. Number 9. Palm Springs. Palm Springs, the desert oasis famous for golf resorts, mid-century modern homes, and retirees seeking sunshine, hides a dangerous reality beneath its glamorous surface. This city of about 45,000 residents sits in the Coachella Valley, directly above one of the most seismically active regions in the United States. The infamous San Andreas Fault slices just a few miles from town, making Palm Springs extremely vulnerable to the Big One. A magnitude 7.8 earthquake scenario could cause billions in damage, sever utilities, and leave residents trapped in scorching desert heat with no power or water. But earthquakes aren't Palm Springs' only problem. Its extreme heat risk is becoming life-threatening. In summer, average highs regularly surpass 110 degrees Fahrenheit, with heat waves pushing temperatures to a deadly 120 degrees Fahrenheit or more. Climate models predict that by 2050, Palm Springs will see over 120 days per year above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, turning this desert paradise into a furnace. Heat-related deaths, water shortages, and skyrocketing energy costs from constant air conditioning make long-term living more dangerous. Wildfires also creep into the picture. The rugged San Jacinto Mountains that tower over the city provide stunning backdrops but also act as fuel for blazes that can sweep down into the valley. Combine that with flash flooding from sudden desert storms, like the massive flooding caused by Tropical Storm Hilary in 2023, which damaged homes and stranded drivers, and Palm Springs finds itself on multiple hazard maps. Insurance companies are beginning to take note. Premiums for flood and fire coverage have risen sharply, and some providers have stopped issuing new policies. While Palm Springs continues to market itself as a glamorous escape, retirees and investors need to remember, beneath the palm trees and sparkling pools lies one of the most high-risk disaster zones in California. Number 8. San Francisco Bay Area. When people picture the San Francisco Bay Area, they imagine Golden Gate Bridge sunsets, Silicon Valley innovation, and wine country weekends. But geologists see something else. a massive disaster zone waiting to erupt. The Bay Area is one of the most earthquake-prone regions in the world, sitting atop the San Andreas Fault, Hayward Fault, and Calaveras Fault. Experts warn the Hayward Fault alone has a 33% chance of producing a magnitude 6.7 or greater quake by 2040, potentially causing $200 billion in damage across Oakland, Berkeley, San Jose, and San Francisco. Beyond earthquakes, the Bay Area is increasingly at risk of wildfires and smoke events. In 2020, the CZU Lightning Complex fire scorched over 86,000 acres in San Mateo and Santa Cruz counties, forcing mass evacuations. Neighborhoods once thought safe, from Napa's wine country estates to the hills of Oakland, are now listed as very high fire hazard zones. Residents often face air quality index (AQI) readings above 300, choking the region in hazardous smoke for weeks. Flooding is another threat. Rising sea levels threaten low-lying parts of San Francisco, Oakland's waterfront, and Silicon Valley tech campuses. Studies suggest that by 2050, over $100 billion in Bay Area real estate could be underwater during king tides and storm surges. Cities like Redwood City and Alameda are already spending millions on seawalls. Insurance premiums are soaring, with some Bay Area homeowners paying over $7,000 annually for combined fire and flood coverage, or losing coverage altogether. The economic stakes are enormous, since the Bay Area is home to over 7.7 million residents and produces nearly $1 trillion in GDP, meaning any major disaster here would ripple across the entire nation. Paradise meets peril. Few places embody this contrast more vividly than the San Francisco Bay Area. Number 7. Sacramento. California's capital city might look safe at first glance. No major fault line cuts directly beneath it, and it sits far from the wildfire-ravaged mountains. But Sacramento's biggest danger comes from an often overlooked threat: flooding. Located at the confluence of the American and Sacramento rivers, the city was built on a massive floodplain. In fact, experts often say Sacramento is the most flood-prone major city in America, rivaling even New Orleans. If levees fail during a winter storm, vast portions of the metro, home to over 2.5 million residents, could be underwater. The city's flood history is sobering. In 1862, the Great Flood turned Sacramento into a temporary lake, forcing residents to abandon the capital. Even today, aging levees and dams remain the only barrier between Sacramento and catastrophe. Climate change is intensifying this risk. Atmospheric river storms, which dump enormous amounts of rain, are increasing in frequency. A recent study suggested that a repeat of the 1862 flood could cause $725 billion in damages statewide, with Sacramento bearing the brunt. Beyond flooding, Sacramento also faces wildfire smoke and extreme heat. While the city itself doesn't burn like Malibu or Santa Rosa, nearby forest fires frequently blanket the capital in thick smoke, causing air quality index (AQI) levels over 200. Summers are brutal too. Sacramento sees 30-plus days per year above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and projections suggest that number could double by 2050. For homeowners, insurance is becoming costly. Flood insurance through FEMA's National Flood Insurance Program, NFIP, averages around $800 to $1,200 per year, but in high-risk zones, it can spike much higher. Combined with rising fire and heat risks, Sacramento is quietly becoming a hotspot of natural disaster exposure, even if it doesn't look as obvious as Los Angeles or San Francisco. Number 6. Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara, nicknamed the American Riviera, is one of California's most breathtaking cities. But beneath its Mediterranean beauty lies a volatile mix of disasters that make it uniquely dangerous. Nestled between the Santa Ynez Mountains and the Pacific Ocean, Santa Barbara is squeezed into a hazard corridor where wildfires, mudslides, and earthquakes collide. The most notorious example is the Thomas Fire of 2017, which burned nearly 282,000 acres in Ventura and Santa Barbara counties. It destroyed over 1,000 structures and caused billions in damage. When winter rains hit shortly afterward, burned hillsides collapsed into deadly mudslides in Montecito, killing 23 people and burying entire neighborhoods in debris. These back-to-back disasters showed how one hazard fuels another. Earthquake risk is another constant shadow. Santa Barbara sits near the Santa Ynez Fault and is within shaking range of the San Andreas system. The 1925 Santa Barbara earthquake, magnitude 6.8, destroyed much of downtown and reshaped the city forever. Experts warn that another quake of similar strength could cause tens of billions in damages today, especially with the region's high-value real estate. Santa Barbara is also highly vulnerable to drought and water shortages. With a population of roughly 90,000, the city relies on limited groundwater and the Cachuma Reservoir, both of which have reached critically low levels during recent droughts. Climate change is amplifying heat and drying conditions, raising both fire and water scarcity risks. Financially, Santa Barbara's risks are immense. Ocean view homes often exceed $3 million, yet many now face insurance premiums over $8,000 per year, if coverage is available at all. For all its charm and wealth, Santa Barbara is a stark reminder that paradise often comes with a heavy price. Nature's wrath is always just one spark, quake, or storm away. Number 5. Oakland. Oakland, often overshadowed by San Francisco across the bay, is one of California's most at-risk cities when it comes to natural disasters. Its biggest looming threat? Earthquakes. The city sits directly on top of the Hayward Fault, which seismologists call a ticking time bomb. Experts estimate there's a 33% chance of a magnitude 6.7 or larger quake striking the Bay Area within the next 20 years, and Oakland would be at the epicenter of destruction. A quake of that size could collapse freeways, rupture pipelines, and cause tens of billions of dollars in damage, crippling a city of nearly 450,000 residents. Wildfires add another layer of danger. The 1991 Oakland Hills firestorm killed 25 people, destroyed over 3,300 homes, and caused $1.5 billion in damages at the time. With today's real estate values, median home prices near $850,000, a similar fire could cause catastrophic financial losses. The combination of dry hills, eucalyptus groves, and hot Diablo winds makes Oakland one of the most dangerous urban wildland interfaces in the country. Oakland is also at risk of sea level rise and flooding. Low-lying areas near the Port of Oakland and East Oakland neighborhoods are already vulnerable to king tides. By 2050, rising seas could put tens of thousands of homes and billions in infrastructure at risk. Add in industrial contamination risks near waterfront zones, and flooding becomes even more dangerous. Insurance costs are climbing fast. Some homeowners now face premiums exceeding $6,500 per year, while others are being denied fire coverage altogether. For residents, this means the dream of Bay Area living comes with constant anxiety about whether the next disaster will be a quake, fire, or flood. Oakland is truly sitting on a razor's edge between urban vibrancy and environmental collapse. Number 4. Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz, known for its surf culture, redwood forests, and laid-back lifestyle, hides a startling level of natural disaster risk. The city's position between the Santa Cruz Mountains and Monterey Bay exposes it to almost every hazard California has to offer. The most pressing danger is earthquakes. Santa Cruz was one of the hardest-hit cities during the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake, magnitude 6.9, which caused over $6 billion in statewide damage and killed 63 people. Downtown Santa Cruz was devastated, with brick buildings collapsing and neighborhoods cut off from emergency services. The nearby San Andreas Fault remains active, making a repeat event almost inevitable. Wildfires are another serious concern. The CZU Lightning Complex fire of 2020 tore through the Santa Cruz Mountains, burning 86,000 acres and destroying nearly 1,500 structures. The fire displaced thousands and proved that even coastal communities once thought safe are now in the line of fire. With climate change extending fire seasons, Santa Cruz residents face growing threats every summer. Flooding and coastal erosion also menace the city. As sea levels rise, the iconic Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk and nearby neighborhoods could face chronic flooding by mid-century. Storm surges already batter the coast, and by 2050, billions of dollars in property value could be at risk. On top of that, landslides in the steep, forested mountains often cut off access roads during heavy winter storms, isolating entire communities. These cascading risks make Santa Cruz especially vulnerable to disaster chains, where one hazard, like a fire, leads to flooding or mudslides shortly afterward. For a city of just 62,000 people, the stakes are high. Home prices average around $1.2 million, but with fire and flood insurance premiums soaring past $7,000 annually, paradise comes at a perilous cost. Santa Cruz embodies California's beauty, but also its fragility. Number 3. San Jose. San Jose, the heart of Silicon Valley and California's third-largest city, may look like a land of tech prosperity, but it's also sitting in one of the most disaster-prone locations in the state. With over 980,000 residents and billions in tech infrastructure, the risks here are massive. The biggest threat? Earthquakes. San Jose straddles the Calaveras Fault and sits close to both the San Andreas and Hayward Faults, forming a trifecta of seismic danger. Experts warn that a major quake could cause $50 to $100 billion in damages to homes, highways, and Silicon Valley's data centers, crippling not only California, but the global tech economy. Flooding is another serious hazard. In 2017, heavy rains caused Coyote Creek to overflow, forcing 14,000 people to evacuate and damaging hundreds of homes. With more atmospheric river storms projected in the future, San Jose remains highly vulnerable to catastrophic flooding, especially in low-lying areas. The city is currently investing billions in flood protection, but experts say it's still underprepared for a worst-case scenario. Wildfire risk is growing too. The Diablo Range to the east and Santa Cruz Mountains to the west are fire-prone, and in dry summers, blazes can creep dangerously close to city neighborhoods. Smoke events are also becoming a new normal, with AQI readings frequently soaring above 200, choking residents and disrupting life for weeks. Add in extreme heat, San Jose now sees 20-plus days above 95 degrees Fahrenheit each summer, a number expected to double by 2050. And you've got a perfect storm of climate hazards. With median home prices near $1.4 million and rising insurance premiums, often over $6,000 annually for combined coverage, San Jose is a reminder that even the world's wealthiest tech hub can't outcode Mother Nature. Number 2. Santa Clarita. Santa Clarita, a city of nearly 230,000 people just north of Los Angeles, is one of California's fastest-growing suburbs, and also one of its most disaster-exposed. The city is infamous for its wildfire vulnerability. Surrounded by chaparral-covered hills and swept by strong Santa Ana winds, Santa Clarita has endured multiple catastrophic blazes. The Tick Fire, 2019, forced 50,000 evacuations, while the Sand Fire, 2016, burned more than 40,000 acres and destroyed dozens of homes. With climate change drying the landscape, Santa Clarita now faces one of the highest wildfire danger ratings in California. Flooding and mudslides are the next big threats. After fires strip the hillsides bare, heavy rains can trigger deadly debris flows. Entire neighborhoods have been temporarily cut off as mud-engulfed streets, forcing mass evacuations. With more intense atmospheric river storms hitting California, these hazards are only intensifying. Earthquakes add yet another layer of risk. Santa Clarita is near the San Gabriel Fault and within reach of the mighty San Andreas Fault. A magnitude 7+ quake could devastate housing, freeways, and pipelines that run through the valley. Considering that median home values here hover around $750,000, the financial fallout would be enormous if thousands of homes were damaged or destroyed. Santa Clarita's growth also increases risk exposure. The city's expanding subdivisions often push further into high fire hazard zones, raising insurance costs dramatically. Fire coverage here can exceed $5,000 per year, and many homeowners are finding themselves dropped by insurers altogether. For families chasing affordable suburban living outside Los Angeles, Santa Clarita looks like a dream. But in reality, it's a community on the front line of fire, flood, and quake risk, where the cost of sunshine and space could be losing everything in a single disaster. Number 1. Los Angeles. Los Angeles, California's crown jewel with nearly 4 million residents, is also the state's most disaster-prone metropolis. Unlike other cities that face one or two hazards, LA sits in the crosshairs of almost every natural threat imaginable, making it arguably America's most vulnerable big city. The most infamous risk is earthquakes. The city is surrounded by fault lines, including the San Andreas, Newport Inglewood, and Hollywood faults. A repeat of the 1857 Fort Tejon quake or the 1994 Northridge quake, which caused $42 billion in damage, could leave skyscrapers, freeways, and millions of homes in ruins. Scientists warn there is a 60% chance of a magnitude 6.7 plus earthquake striking the LA region within the next 30 years, potentially displacing hundreds of thousands. Wildfires are another relentless danger. From Malibu to Griffith Park, fire-prone canyons surround the city. The 2017 Skirball fire shut down the 405 freeway, while the Woolsey fire just outside the city destroyed over 1,600 structures. With hotter summers, longer dry spells, and strong Santa Ana winds, Los Angeles is perpetually on high alert. Insurance premiums reflect this. Homeowners in hillside areas often pay over $8,000 per year for fire coverage, if they can get it at all. Flooding and mudslides add more chaos. After wildfires strip the hills, heavy rains trigger deadly debris flows that bury homes and cars in seconds. In 2018, nearby Montecito mudslides killed 23 people, a tragedy that could easily be repeated in LA's canyon neighborhoods. Coastal flooding also threatens areas like Venice and San Pedro, where rising seas could cause billions in damages by mid-century. Heat waves are intensifying too. LA now sees 35-plus days per year above 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and projections suggest triple-digit days could triple by 2050, straining power grids and endangering vulnerable populations. With nearly $1 trillion in regional GDP and a sprawl of infrastructure, Los Angeles isn't just a local risk, it's a national one. The city's glamour hides a grim truth. Beneath the Hollywood lights lies a ticking clock of disaster, where the question isn't if, but when.